Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Goddamn Room. I'm your host with the most, DAM. And with us today is the owner of Thumper Things Apparel, as well as Design Co. He's got quite a few businesses. This guy is a real savant in this game. BJJ brown belt, striking coach. I mean, the dude has a list of accolades that I think I can go on for about like maybe 20 minutes.
Put on
Looks like a
events
Costco
too
receipt.
sometimes.
And you put on the events. You host them. You ref. I think you've even said you've tabled at events. I don't know how you make the time, but we're definitely going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
With us in the goddamn room, none other than Andre Maxam. Brother, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. Been looking forward.
Absolutely. Well, shit, it's been all week, and I'm like, this is going to be sick. This dude is awesome. So I watch a lot of your content on Instagram, and it's like you're constantly pushing your athletes out. You've always got these hilarious posts from time to time on your stories where, like, I remember at one post you removed your legs and put them backwards. You're like, yeah, sorry, just form like this. It's just what it was. I was like, this guy's a trip, man. I love it. It's so vibe.
I put up that video. It was like how to get better in the gi. And then, I was going to do how to get better in the gi. And so me and my friend are standing there in our gis, and I just go, oh, and he couldn't handle it. So he just starts dying laughing. I have so many like bloopers. So I do content like every 2 to 3 days. So I just have like hours and hours of bloopers because most of the videos I put up are like, that's like my 15th try. I just kind of do it off the cuff. So like you'll see me I'll either freak out or it'll be something completely irrelevant to what I was trying to get across. Or I have other people and I'll do jokes, but they'll just like, they won't be able to stay, regular on it. And like, yeah, that's cool that you're laughing, but like, we have a thing that we're trying to do here. So yeah, content it's a tough game.
Yeah, as someone who's struggling to constantly come up with the right thing to really do when it comes to content, I can see that. You seem to have a really good grasp of not just the content, but how to market whatever you're putting out. And I think at the end of the year, you should do like a blooper reels, like just consistently put out all the bloopers and all the times you fucked up.
Honestly, I've been told that I should do a blooper reels because I have one. I have ones of me. I have ones Aaliyah. She's in a bunch of them. I have a ton of Marissa, like because we do content all the time. Then I have some of Matt. Like there's the one video of me and Matt, and it's him with his Mr. Main Event shirt that he's selling. By the way, that's on takeoverstore.square.site. I am working on a domain. But so me and him were doing it, and we went back and forth. This video that probably lasted 30 seconds took us no lie 45 minutes of try. And then we would both just say something stupid, or it would be like way too long. And then we're like, oh, well, we went off into a tangent. So, I just have so many of like me, other people. I think Bass, me and him also had a decent amount of bloopers in ours too. So yeah, I should definitely put together like a positive that. I think it'd be funny.
I think it'd be hilarious. People love that kind of stuff. That's the kind of content that actually makes like, especially when you start jiu-jitsu, you take it a little too seriously. But if you see stuff like that from guys that have a lot more experience, like yourself, like Marissa, like Matt, who are, you guys compete and you kind of know this game a bit more than the average person, I think that helps with like the younger guys who are like, oh, I really want to get into this jiu-jitsu stuff. And then they get stressed out. And then you see stuff like that and then you're like, wait a minute. I have to take this shit so seriously.
Yeah, Instagram's not real. Like anything you see on here is more than likely the 10th try or the 15th try. Like I was watching Matt he was doing a technique video the other day and he almost slammed the guy on his knee and like, that would have been bad. And then one of them, like the guy like landed on his elbow. He's like, oh, we got to do it again. So we're sitting there. He's like doing this takedown over and over again. But it's just funny because everyone's like, oh, everyone's technique must just be solid every single time. It's not. It's not realistically like that. All this stuff takes a ton of tries.
Yeah. There's a few techniques that I get repeatedly, but most when I tell some of my training partners, like, oh, you must like get that really well every single time you do it. And I'm like, to be real with you, watch the first 10 times I tried to set you up for that technique. You probably didn't notice that I fucked it up, but I tried. Like, there were 4 or 5 times, buddy, where I had to bail out because I was like, shit, wrong,
I
go.
like to work my way up the totem pole. So, like, I'll start hitting techniques on, like, white belts. Then I'll start, like, the blue belts that don't compete. Then I'll start doing it to, like, the blue belts that compete. Then I hit it on the blue belt dads. When I hit it on the blue belt dads, the really strong ones, that's when you're like, all right, this works on people. And then I work all my way up. I work my way up to my friend Colby. And Aaliyah tells me, she's like, if it works on Colby, it's a real technique. So for the record, I have about 7 real techniques because nothing works on this man.
So Kobe's gonna be the golden standard. If it works on Kobe, that's the checkpoint. It's gonna work. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
who
like
you throw it on.
I'll hit stuff. At HCS, I hit a 1-arm darce. Apparently, that's not real because I can't hit it on him. So
It doesn't really work.
yeah,
Just stand up. That's what we're gonna go with now. All right, cool. So you have a really interesting brand because Thumper Things is huge here, especially in Westchester, and moving up the ladder and going around the way. Thumper Things is really well known, and your brand, like when we see the insignia, I know that brand right away. I even know the 2 T's. I'm like, oh, you got Thumper Things.
Mhm.
All right, cool, lit. That's one of those brands that is sticking out. I was on the designer.co website earlier, and I'm looking at like the anime reashis for Takeover, and I'm like, ooh, am I going to get the clouds?
Yeah, that's actually that website. Like, I do get sales on it and stuff, but I use that mostly for like when I go to businesses and I try to tell them that I make like business gear because a lot of my stuff is like it's cool doing athlete attire and everything like that. Most of my sales are like actual like business polos, embroidery. So I pretty much go there. I show them my website. You know, it looks very professional. It's clean. I have a bunch of professional pictures on there. I do get sales, but it's more of like people are like, oh, can I put my stuff on that website? You're not getting as much traffic as my new website, the Takeover store. That one has like I think I get 1,000 clicks a day on it now just because I have so many gyms, athletes. There's other brands that are joining. I'm basically trying to be a one-stop shop for merchandise. You know, I want to add some bands on there. I have a couple of friends that have bands. I gotta, put some stuff together. And then there's also like high school, middle school athletes that can now receive money. So I can make their like jersey look alike and then I can sell it and then I can send them money. So they earn money. Everyone that's on that website earns money.
Yeah, I think that's fucking sick, man. I think that looking forward, the fact that you're looking out for the younger athletes that are kind of just starting at this to compete at that young of an age, which that already has a lot of stress, and the parents have to pay for the events. So for you to go out of
Yeah.
your way to do that, and then being a one-stop shop is going to be fucking amazing. It's something that I think we need more of, especially in the grappling community, because there's always like the big companies, but there's no one that like you've never met the guy that runs Takedown or the guy that
No.
runs Venom. I've never shaken their hands. I've never seen their faces. I know who they are because of the websites, but I don't know them personally. Never spoken with them. So, to see a real person that's, the man behind the brand and then you get to talk to them and communicate and just be human, I think that's
There's
awesome. And I think that
also
separates you.
there's like a lot of people that like they'll be sponsored by people or they'll have like say they have their own kit or whatever. It's not custom usually. It's like there's some companies I'm not going to name drop, but they'll have basically the company's logo, then it'll be a different color like green or something and it'll be like this is such and such's kit. Why? That has nothing to do with them. Like when you go through me, one, I actually pay you per purchase. I prove to you that these are your purchases. We come up with a logo together and you make a much higher percentage too. So I'm not really looking to actually profit on the fighters' stuff being sold. I'm looking to profit from the upselling that my website does as people buy these items.
That's a sick way to do it because you're essentially helping the athlete with a good source of revenue, still taking care of business because it is a business and the bullshit that,
Yeah, I can't do
but
this
that's
for
something that
free, you know.
right, because it is a business, but you're not also trying to rip them off. You're not trying to like, oh, I take 80, you take 20, and it's just like this. And then you can't, there's some companies that have been found, they print out the sheet and then they make fixes with their MBAs or whoever the hell, and then they send it to a person like, oh, well, this is actually the sales numbers that you got. But you're showing the traffic, you're giving them an actual, the actual info, the way that it is and how it breaks down and everything. I think that transparency, that shit speaks volumes to who you are, man, because there's not a lot of businesses that do that.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk about Thumper Things, man, because you have one of the coolest brands, and I think it's awesome.
So Thumper Things is basically like it's like everything I do. So if I do events, if I make clothing, it's all like my blank apparel. So like I have my own t-shirt. Basically like Gildan has their own t-shirt. I have a Thumper's Things t-shirt that I just now finished. I obviously don't take raw cotton and sew the thing together. Like, I do actually have those made, but it's my specific brand. So like everything I do is under this Thumper Things umbrella. Then I have Takeover Apparel, which is most of my clothing you're going to see has Takeover on it. Like I'll put TT on stuff, but that's because that's like my Gildan, that's my blank. But like designs, the team store, it's all Takeover. And then Design Co is just my store. So I sell a bunch of different brands here. Like you can come in and get Bella Canvas, you know, Gildan, anything really, because it's just my shop. That's kind of the people ask me the breakdown of that. I'm like, there it is.
Well, now we know how the game works. But when you're building, because you also have another thing where you build brands. Is that something that like
Yeah.
when you start? How do
My
you?
become a brand owner now is it's really growing. So I have two different options basically. People can put their merch on their own website, you know, that's on them. I'll do their drop shipping for them, whatever. Or they can add their stuff to my website where I still do all the drop shipping, but I run ads. So ads are going to be probably one of your most expensive things. If someone like just makes a website, they're probably only going to get like 1 or 2 clicks a day, maybe if they share it on Facebook or whatever. And then if they run ads, like they might get, you know, 20 or 30, like at most every couple days. But if you put it on my website, I do all this. So all of it's included. You get all my ads because it brings you right to the website. You also have all the athletes that funnel people into the website too. So you're just getting basically cross-pollinated by athletes, the different gyms that are on the website too. I tell gyms this all the time. I'm like, hey, look, you can sell your stuff on your own merch store to basically your students, or we can come up with something sick, and then people from other gyms are also going to want to buy it too. So like, it doesn't necessarily have to just have your logo in the front middle. Let me make you something cool, something that everyone will buy, and then you're going to get the revenue from that because that's your design.
That's actually pretty awesome. I think that would work for a lot of gyms, especially the smaller gyms that are just kind of getting into the
Yeah,
business and
I have
understanding everything.
I think I have 8 on my website right now, and then I also have 4 that have their own website. So it's a lot to monitor and everything too.
I can imagine that that's pretty difficult. But how do you think of things that resonate with so many people in such a competitive market? And you're like, oh, I have the time to like. How do you? Let me think about how I want to word this correctly. How do you create something that resonates with so many people from so many different walks of life, and like take the time to really break that down and develop something that you know, hey, anyone that loves this
Yeah.
sport or that is around games would buy this.
I think that a lot of people have good ideas. I've found that a lot of people have good ideas, and a lot of people come to me with good ideas. The problem is I don't really think before I act. I just do stuff. So partially this came from a friend of mine. He's like, "Oh, can I just put my stuff on your website?" And I'm like, "Yep." So I was doing that, and then Marissa, like, she has her own brand, Goth Girl Grappling. I actually have to put that on the new store because that's on my Design Co store. But I'm like, all right, like I'll put that on there, and then I had Matt stuff on there, and then I had another gym on there, and then I put Blackhole on the website too. And I'm like, I should just make a database based or like a one-stop shop of all these different things, and like I saw my traffic increase like exponentially, and I'm like, I can basically drive traffic by having just so many people that need to get their specific items, and they'll also get mine. So it was kind of just like I thought of this and then I'm just doing it. So no real thinking about it. It just, some people have thoughts and like, oh, and then they let it go in the back burner. I was like, day of. I did this at like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I was like, day of, this is a great idea. I'm gonna start it.
Okay, so you're the kind of person that's a doer. You just it looks like it works, it feels like it works. Fuck it, let's try it. Let's see what this
Yeah.
goes.
That's how I get into
Have fun.
everything, pretty much. The clothing
Okay,
thing, I pretty much did that too. I actually just, the first time I like ordered stuff from China, and I was like, a lot of people got these and they like my designs. I'm just gonna go buy a sublimation printer. I can do this myself. It's not that bad. So I took out a loan, started the business, and here we are.
yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I was gonna say, are you one of those people that like fuck it is the main sentence you use before you do anything?
Yeah, what is it? Fuck it, we ball. I think that's the saying.
Yeah, fuck it, we bob. But speaking of Black Hole, you are a striking coach there.
Yep.
What's your philosophy? When you're teaching and mentoring your students, do you have a philosophy, or is there like a thing that you look at them and go, like this doesn't really work for this person? Or when you're looking at them as a whole, do you just look at them as a unit and go, well, everyone should be able to do X, Y, and Z?
So I run it very close to how I was trained. So I trained with Jarek Jones in Albany for years and Tyrone Jackson out of Saratoga for years. So basically, a lot of the drills I do they're usable for people that are coming in off the street, people that are just there to lose weight, and then people that are trying to fight. So I kind of start everyone at the same thing. Like, all right, we're going to walk forward. We're going to do this. And here's your movement. Because I do a lot of footwork. Like that's probably 50% of the class is footwork. So this is the drill. Then when I see people start to pick it up, individually, I give them the next part of it. And then the fighters, like, because they're in there all the time, they're progressing. I give them the third step of it, and then the fourth step of it, and then we're working on. Now you have all four steps of it. Now we're going to start to hit a lot. We'll start to hit it on like a double end bag because it's moving. You have to kind of replicate the sparring. Then I'm going to see you do it on a person. Where like if you don't finish step 2, we're going to still keep working on step 2. I might change it slightly just so you don't get bored, but you still have to solve this issue. And as soon as I see you like replicating what I'm doing, at least to the 70th percentile, then I move you up the board. So like I have this one guy, Jay. We'll shadow box in the beginning. Like a lot of the newer people, I kind of just have them do movement. I make him shadow box around people because he knows how to move already. There's no point. Like he progresses very fast. So you'll see him he'll get very like long reps where they're just throwing one punch. He'll be on like step 5 or 6. So, but everyone, I teach everyone at the same time. There's not like a separate fighter cardio together, and everyone has a pretty good time.
Yeah, I can imagine that when you have large classes, especially, you definitely want to make the most out of the space, and you also want to make everybody feel like just because you're not a fighter doesn't mean you can't train in the same room
You're
as
part
them.
of the
I've
team.
seen some do that. Right. I've seen teams do that in the past. When I was in Florida, that happened a lot. They'd have just one section strictly for the fight team and then another section for everyone else. I always kind of felt bad because, I'm in the cage with the fighters. We're doing all these other things. But I can see that there are other people that are interested. They'd like to learn it. They may not use it, but, that looks like fun. And I'm like, yeah, you should definitely try it just to see. You never know. You might have a good time with it. Maybe you never use it. Maybe you never step into a cage. But at least you have that experience and like you go to the gym every time happy. And that's something that I don't see a lot in very many places where they're more concerned with like the person that, maybe they're not going to fight, but the enthusiast that comes in happy and excited to be there. I love training with that kind of person. Yeah, he'll never fight, but shit, he's a great training partner.
Me and Mike Wacker have a very similar philosophy on that. He's the head coach at Blackhole. He keeps like if you have training camp, you're still training with everyone in the room. You're not just like off by yourself. And I mean, I've always done that too. So I'm very happy that he's on board with my style of teaching because I think it parallels the way he does it too. Like if you're getting ready for a competition or that's like his style of it. If you're getting ready for a competition, you're working on these things, whatever. Everyone is also kind of working on those, and it's great to still have the unity. Where with mine, we're working on building fighters right now, so I'll bring people to sparring. So like Saturday sparring, you have to work on this. The team's going to work on this because the rest of the people, they aren't looking to fight. They can still add these skills to their repertoire, So it's very, very parallel the way that he does things and I do things, which is why I think it works for me teaching the striking over there. Like he'll come over and see stuff. He's like, oh, that's great. I'm like, yeah, it's like you, dog, So
the rapport you guys have built is strictly based on the type of way that you guys are coaching and the respect you have for each other, which is something that, again, you don't always see in a lot of gyms. When you do see that, there's always a magic to a team where you kind of see that your coaches, they're always on the same plane. They're always chilling. They're always having that one-to-one where they're like,
he
hey,
coaches me too. Like when I have matches now, he's in my corner. So, that's awesome.
That means that you guys have a crazy amount of trust in each other.
Yeah.
Because with most people if you've never been in the training rooms, your coach is the single most important person to you.
Yeah.
And then if you're competing, that's the one voice you're trying to pick up the entire time. Sometimes a little hard.
Yeah.
Some people really proud, but that's the one voice you're looking for. That's the voice that you recognize. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a safe space type of thing. Your brain like, oh, I know that voice.
I start to recognize voices better. So I'm still kind of new to Blackhole. Like I've only been there 6 months or so. so I'm still kind of getting used to it. Like I was doing matches for years, and I just had like Aaliyah would be the only person in my corner. So, and she didn't really talk 'cause she's younger. So it's just like I'm just going off. All right, I think I should do this. You know, I had an MMA fight where I actually didn't even have a corner. So it just happens sometimes.
Man, that's tough. An MMA fight is that's a lot of stress. I
Yeah.
mean, congrats to you for being that tough, brother. But that's a stressful spot to be in.
But, I also I remember having or not having a corner back then. And then I'm like, well, if anyone ever needs one, like I go to so many shows, you know, how many guys they're like, hey, Andre, can you come corner me quick? I'm like, yeah. So now I'm starting to be like a good corner man too, to add to everything else I'm doing. So when I go to Cage Wars, which is February 7th in Glens Falls, I don't know if you've seen it. I post about it all the time. Tim Rankins is like literally the best promoter probably in the Northeast. Like he's getting Roger Stone, Jorge Masvidal, Constantino, the guy running for senator. So there's gonna be a lot of big names. There's gonna be like 4,000 people or something like that. And like I'm cornering, I think 3 guys on that show. So people just kind of come to me at this point to do this.
Yeah, man. I think. Well, I know I'm familiar with Cage Wars. 'Cause, there's some guys in Cage Wars that I've been looking at, and I'm like, man, I'd love to have them on the pod one day because they have that look, and I'm like, man, I like the vibe of how they talk, and then when they're competing, they're so serious, they're so good, and then there's some guys that you can see that they
There's
specialize
so
in
many
grappling.
funny guys, though. There's so many
Yeah,
funny guys. You should, if you ever want to have any of them on, like, I probably make gear for half of the card at this point, which I think, I think that's why, everyone's pretty cool with me there because I make almost everyone's stuff. And, even before I was like really, sharing Cage Wars stuff before whatever, I was like, I'm just going to sponsor the main event every single time. And I'd go to whoever's main eventing it, and I'd be like, "Hey, let me make you a free pair of shorts." And then they would, and they'd be in the main event. And Cage Wars, I don't know if you've seen their pictures. They take the absolute best pictures. They're the best production, and so my stuff just looks so cool. It looks so sick. Like Joe Crable is actually one of my guys. I trained with him actually last week too. He's one of the guys that like I'll train with and I sponsor him because we're friends. And he always wears my stuff. I just made him some new shorts for it, and I just have so many like awesome. I gotta post him more, but he doesn't like social media that much. So, but he has some sick photos from all these different events.
yeah, man. I think the fact that you have that kind of connection is sick. Of course, I do want to get a lot of the guys from there because I think MMA in the Northeast doesn't get the kind of love it gets in the Southeast or even in the West Coast.
Guys up
I
here
got
are
a lot
good.
of they get love, and Florida, but like New York, New Jersey gets a little more love, but New York, I just feel like we don't get enough. Like I don't feel like there's enough love for the home team. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of fighters in New York, they're phenomenal, some of the best fighters you've ever seen, and you watch them compete, and you're like, holy shit, that dude's from where? And they're like, yeah, he's from like Upper New York, and then another guy would be from like the Bronx, and then you're like, what? How come we don't know these guys' names
Have
yet?
you seen Luis Melendez? He actually fights for Karate Combat. He's 4-0 on Karate Combat. I think he's 5-0 as a pro. But he fought a guy, and then the coach like freaked out, and there was this huge viral video where President Awesome choked the guy out. Then Louise came to me. He's like, "Can you make this on a T-shirt?" So I made it on a T-shirt. Then they got the coach and Louise fought last weekend. And then,
Yep.
so Louise's fight shirt, which is also available on my takeover store, money goes to him. It's President Awesome choking out the guy, and then Louise beats the dude last weekend. So it's just things like that happen all the time, and people don't even understand. Like, yeah, Louise is from Puerto Rico, but he trains out of Scotia, which is near Albany. Like it's north. And then like Matt Secor is from Glens Falls. Like he was on Ultimate Fighter. He was on the season with the Let Me Bang Bro guy. There's a
Yeah, Julian.
there's a
Yeah,
ton of guys that are coming out of Albany area, and people just don't recognize they're from upstate New York.
it's a bit tragic in my opinion because again, like I said, we got so many great fighters here in New York, all over, not just down in the Hudson Valley, into Manhattan, into Long Island, which they do produce a great amount of world champions, but like we're seeing the turn where like all of New York as a state We got a lot of MMA fighters. We got a lot of jiu-jitsu players. We got guys that have won titles in other places.
Matt's just won Combat Worlds.
Yep.
Like, he's like,
I think a purple belt. And I remember that a good portion of the guys he beat were black belts. So I was like,
yeah, what is it? Ed something in the finals. Eddie something in the finals. But he beat Max Hansen. I think he broke his rib. He submitted Max Hansen, which Max has been in the top 10 for like 4 years. What is it, Keith? I don't know what his last name is. He lost to some guy, and then Matt like heel hooked him, I think, in under a minute, or Aoki'd him, one of them. So there's so many good people in upstate New York.
So we're definitely going to be having to put them on the show just so that we can kind of highlight those fighters and so people can kind of get to know them from home, because I think that's the other problem is maybe the type of exposure they're getting. I'm not sure. But in New York, they're just not getting the kind of love. And I'd like to definitely highlight that because what Matt did is no of like, holy shit.
That's kind of what drives me too. Like a lot of these guys, they don't have the biggest platform. So I'm trying to basically make a big platform for them, you know? Like if they put stuff on their Facebook or Instagram, say their reach is, you know, like 800 people, you sell like a tenth of that. It's, you know, that's fine. That's decent numbers. But I'm trying to make a platform that has a reach of like 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, a million. Like I want the biggest reach possible so I can help all these guys out, kind of have a platform, sell their t-shirts, go on podcasts, I even help people get on more events, you know, like I'll help with the matchmaking, and some of these big shows or bigger shows, like they don't know of the guys that might be 3-0 with all knockouts, but they don't post on social media, so nobody knows about them. But I'm kind of like, I'm in the field almost trying to just find the best of the best that aren't represented the best.
That's actually a sick journey, man. And I'm happy that you do that, brother. We greatly appreciate you for that. But getting back to my question about your coaching as well, you're a striking coach now, but you were a BJJ coach previously in other teams. So when you look back at your journey as a coach, like what's the difference between training someone in striking versus grappling? Like what are the differences there?
I had the same philosophy both ways. So like even when I was coaching grappling, I wasn't as involved. Like now, like when I was teaching grappling, I basically had people above me. They're like, all right, you got to do this, this, and this is what we're working on. Or they're like, hey, I want you to go teach 2 techniques, positional sparring and rolling, and we don't care what the techniques are, whatever you're working on. All right, whatever. And like, I don't corner anyone. I'm kind of just doing it so that I can train there for free. So whatever. But now it's Mike's like, listen, I want you to write a curriculum. I want you to he's like, I want you to actually be a coach, you know? Like when guys go and spar, like I'm in their corner. When guys are going to fight, like we're putting together game plans together, like stuff like that. It's a lot different now than it was for me before. Before I was basically just doing it so I can train. Now I'm doing it to actually help the fighters. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm just much more involved.
I think that your devotion to your team is also, it's kind of different when you're limited and you're told like, oh, we only want X, Y, and Z out of you. And then we want everything that you bring to the table. Just let us know how you want to do it. I think that those are so different and what you're able to do and what you're able to accomplish. So again, like you said, like at one point you're doing what they were telling you to do. And then now it's like your own curriculum, the way that you see things. What do you bring to the table for the fight report? And when they go and create the game plan, like it's much more involved now than it was before. Before it was kind of like, yeah, just go out there and do the thing and we'll see how that goes. And now it's like,
not like I don't make strides in my own business from doing this. Like, so say I bring someone to sparring, right? I'm talking to the coaches. I'm trying to add them to my takeover website. I'm trying to find good fighters that, you know, I can add to events. I'm trying to find good fighters that can come and visit us for sparring. I'm trying to find guys that have a following, or even guys that are good that don't have a following, and try to build them up a little bit too. I'm always trying to make connections, and like since the position I'm in, everything that I do it just crosses very well with everything. Like I love taking guys to sparring because of all the new connections that I made.
I think that's a good way to segue into anything because you have so many different parts of this business that you're in. But you also because I don't want to take away too much just because of the coaching and the business side of it, but you do compete in BJJ. The last one that I saw was the one from fall of 2024. But what keeps you motivated to even stay competing while you're juggling like the businesses, coaching, anything else that you could come up with, whether it's hosting events or even reffing, or like you do so much in a day, man. How do you even find the time and the energy to be like, you know what? Got a competition this Saturday.
Yeah, 2024, I actually had like 30, 35 matches. Yeah, I just don't post all the time. Like, if you look at my Instagram, I only post like once a month. But like, I had like probably 30, 35 matches, if not more. Like, I faced multiple black belts. I faced a guy on Smooth Comp that had 200 wins at heavyweight, which I'm not a heavyweight. Like, I walk around like 200 usually. Right now, I'm a little bit bigger because, Naga has this absolute thing where they're giving away money. So I'm kind of trying to bulk up a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I love the wars. I don't fight MMA anymore. I don't box anymore. I still need that competition. And I feel like if I don't do it somewhat regularly, I start to, I don't know, I get like antsy, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, I love doing it a lot. I actually was sick. Like HCS was the last one I did. I don't know what happened. I was sick for like 6 weeks. Like I just started feeling better right now. And so I definitely want to get back out there, but I'm hesitant because I was just sick for so long. But I'm probably looking to start competing again in March. So that's kind of what the date I'm looking at right now.
Holy shit. Hey man, I'm happy you're back to good health, but it's been a weird time lately too. Everyone's kind of getting
Yeah.
sick for 2 weeks,
It,
then you're back to like
it was
okay, and then
yeah,
you're back
and
to
it was like 6 to 8 weeks of just being sick or on the verge of being sick. I don't know. I feel better now. Like I'm training now again. Me and Mr. Drunk Jitsu Colby, we went to war last night. Yeah, I'm always training and stuff. But I feel a lot better now.
That's sick, man. I'm happy you're back to good health. And congratulations, by the way, on opening your store.
Thank you.
What was the vision behind that store? And I believe it's in Kingston, New York, correct?
Yeah, so there's a lot of these like athletic wear companies, different brands and everything. They don't have like a location. So like if you want to buy like say Tatami, I don't know if they have a location or not, but I'm pretty sure they don't. But you can't like go there. But with me, I wanted to make it so that like who owns the business, and if you need to see him, my door's right there and it's always open. So you don't feel like you're getting scammed, or I don't know. I think people just feel way more comfortable buying from people when there's a brick and mortar. So you'll see that I post all the time in front of my store, in my store, everything. So if anyone has a problem, I'm right here. People don't usually have a problem. And I only get like 3 or 4 people in here a day, but I get a ton of phone calls and a ton of emails. And since I've opened the store, my business is it's multiplied so much. It's crazy. But I think people just like having someone that they can trust to actually do well.
Yeah, I can see that, especially with your brand already being the way it is, and then people getting to see the, like again, to quote the founder of Tap Out, Charles Mass Lewis, if you don't get to know the man, know the person, really not doing it well. So whenever you try to promote anything or when you try to push something out, you got to know the man, know the person.
Yeah.
If you don't know that, you probably won't buy from him, you probably won't talk to him, and you probably won't believe in them.
And you
So that
probably
was something
won't
that I
find
saw.
them. Like I'm at
Right.
1086 Morton Boulevard, Kingston, New York, 12401. You can come in. I'm open Monday through Saturday, and most of the time I'm working on Sundays too. So come in, stop by. I got free snacks. My desk has a bunch of cool little anime statues, and come make some deals. Join the website. This is always up, so people come in sometimes and they scan the code. They start their online shop. I actually got 2 new people for brands yesterday. Someone started a hat brand. This is my hat, but I've been doing patches on hats. So someone just started their own hat brand. I got to make them a website, and it's awesome. Then I got someone else that wants to do like track jackets for their website. They're doing a lot of those. So I was designing those last night. All these brands, everyone has a great idea. and then they just walk in, and I try to make it happen, you know?
So that's the official invitation for you guys to go to the store. We're going to put the link in the description for not only the website, but the actual location
This
so you can go to
QR
the
code
shop.
right here, we got to put that up, because this is how you start. This is how you become a brand owner. What I like to say, this is how you turn your brand into a business. Everyone can have a brand. That doesn't mean you're actually making money off of it. But let me help you grow your brand.
You heard the man. You know where to go. You know what to look at. Also, we're going to link the IG down as well, just to make sure that you have all those links in the description. Anything you're looking for, we'll highlight it for you. You'll find it quickly. You can get to Andre. Of course, you can buy stuff from Thumper Things. You can go to any of his websites to buy any takeover gear. And if you have a favorite athlete like the man we're about to mention now, Matt, who won Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, you can buy the kit. His kit is available currently on Takeover,
It's
correct?
the Mr. Main Event. If you go look at his last matches, you have like basically the dream team set. That's what I call it. It's the blue, red, and white. With the dark blue, it says Blackhole Jiu-Jitsu on it. He won Combat Worlds in it. So now I actually made him another set to replicate that one that he won, but it says Mr. Main Event Matt Mash, and then you can also buy a Mr. Main Event t-shirt on the Takeover store, and the money goes to him. So I'm really trying to push that, because I think he's competing like today. Actually, he competes like he just won the finishers belt. He won the Combat Worlds belt, and today I think he's doing like Submission Underground or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but he's doing something.
He's always busy.
Yeah.
The guy has a great schedule. But when you were looking at Matt as a because he does train over Black Hole, correct?
Yeah, so it like me kind of making Matt's gear fell into I make Black Hole's gear already, and then he's like, hey, can I get a custom kit? Like, I'll pay for it, whatever. I'm doing finishers, whatever, and I'm like the co-main. I go, dog, how about I just make you something and just wear it, and we're good. Because like I don't you're taking sick pictures, you're competing all the time. I don't need your money. You know, you're doing enough. I don't want to add to the stress of whatever. So yeah, that's kind of how the thing with Matt is, because I see him all the time, and he's always on every single card. So I just, I make him cool stuff. Or if I'm trying to push something, I make it for him, takes a picture in it, and then I can use the content.
Shit, man, that looks like a great relationship. Because I was gonna ask you, as a brand ambassador, because Matt's also one of those people that when he competes, that guy does not stop moving. I've never seen somebody like that where he's in constant rotation. He's always trying to find a more dominant. And he's, very young guy, but he's sick, man. He's going up against vets and he's making them look pretty seamless.
It seems sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I see him do something to them, and I think also some of the techniques that he uses, there's a little unconventional at times, and I'm like, huh, that worked. Even I'm watching it like, I don't know if it's gonna go.
Well, look at the Combat Jiu-Jitsu. The way that he does Combat Jiu-Jitsu is just, it's like light years ahead of everybody else. You saw a lot of people like pulling guard. Matt's wrestling. He's letting them sit guard. He's striking when they're in open guard. He's making them lay back instead of sitting up. And then he's using that just to pass and keep them on the ground.
Yeah,
it's just so efficient.
The way that he does things, it's definitely it's changed the way that we look at jiu-jitsu now, because we're seeing the younger guys do it. And speaking of another champion who you've got the branding with her as well, and then she's part of the brand, Marissa Pacelli, finishers only champ. She's been dominating lately. How in the hell did that work out? Is it similar to what you did with Matt, or was it just like you, Marissa?
Marissa was a little bit different. She was obviously a Black Hole, but I've been making stuff for her for a while now. So like I met her a couple times, and I think she was talking to Aaliyah, and they were like, "This would be a cool rash guard," and I was just like, oh, I can make it for you if you want. She's like, oh yeah, that'd be sick. Whatever. I made her a custom rash guard. I didn't even know who she was, because I follow jiu-jitsu now, but back then I didn't really follow it that much because I was doing a lot of like basketball type stuff. So she's like, oh, I got these pictures in the gear, and I'm like, where the hell did you get these from? What are you doing? She's like, oh, I won such and such event in it. I'm like, you're just out here winning stuff? All right, so whatever, time goes on. She keeps winning. She wins like the finishers, interim belt. She dominates the scene everywhere, basically. And then I started to get more into jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, oh, she's like a top dog right now. And, you know, I'm making all of her stuff. I didn't even realize. I wasn't even training at Blackhole yet. Like I met her once there, but that was about it. So I don't know. I just started making her stuff, and she always comes to me, and she's like, "Oh, we're doing this event. Like, can you do?" She always gives me crazy designs, or like the Huckleberry one I just did. She's actually doing this. What is it? There's a quintet I think coming up, right? She has that with like you know anything about that?
I've heard of the quintet event coming through. I think it's going to be under quintet rules, but I don't know if she's actually on like the quintet card itself. Because I know
She's
the
on a
rules.
team for the quintet. I don't know what. I think it's finishers. I just heard about it like yesterday. Well, anyway, I'm making their sets too. So like they actually, one of the girls came up with a design, and I found them a couple sponsors. So now I'm gonna make all this stuff, and like we're making track suits for them and everything. Like they're gonna look pretty awesome. I think their name's Slaughter Squad. Yeah. Has like a little skull on it. They just sent me the design today, so I gotta like, mess around with it a little bit. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty huge. So they have a 5-girl squad. I don't know the other girls on it, but I would assume that if they're teamed up with her, they're probably really good. And more than likely, I would assume that Marissa's team is probably gonna win. Not that I'm biased or anything, but I am. So
No shame in it. I think we both are. I was going to say something. I was like, they're probably going to win if they have her on the team.
yeah.
I love the quintet rules, but I find the way that I find some of the stalling calls like on the quintet events. Sometimes I'm like, okay, like are we really stalling here? And let me talk about another guy who's on the Thumper Things lineup, Basel Bashawish, aka Bash.
Bash.
So the post with Bash. What about someone like Bash would make you decide to like sponsor someone like him? Was it like skill, work ethic, just a vibe that how did you see him like influencing or shaping the brand that you were like, you know what, this guy would be a great addition to the team?
Honestly, I just saw him compete a lot, and I think he just messaged me on Instagram. And usually, like, I get those messages every single day, basically. People are like, "Oh, can you sponsor me? Can you send me free gear?" Like, I don't just send free gear to everybody. I have, that would cost me thousands, millions of dollars. I'm not doing it. If you have a decent following and everything, but like, if you have like 100 followers and you're asking for like free gear, I don't see that. It's not a donation. Don't think of sponsorships as a donation. It's a business opportunity, like, or business relationship. Like, I also need something from sending you gear. So Bash, he just messaged me one day, and usually whenever people do it, I'll watch them. Like, I'll put them on my Instagram feed more so that I can kind of keep tabs on what they're doing. And he just was competing all the time. He was really exciting. He's hitting people with like triangles, and he's doing pretty much events every single week. Like, I was like, all right, I'll give you a discount on stuff now, or I'll make you custom stuff and I won't charge you for the design, and I'll give you an even bigger discount. So like Marissa and Matt, like, they're doing these huge things. They post pretty much every day. They're on all these forums. They're like, there's a couple other people like Emma Negro and Luca Negro they're from AMG. Like, they also, like, I make them stuff, whatever. Bash, he's still growing. So like, I'm making him stuff, I'm sending him stuff, but I'm waiting for him to take off because I know he's going to. And I felt that for a while. Ever since I like saw him competing so much, like, he was doing it like almost every single weekend there for a while. And I'm like, this kid wants it. So if you just show me that you want it, and like, you post stuff, and he always interacts with my posts and everything, and I appreciate him. That's how you get sponsored. You want like a good business relationship. And he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, I would agree too. I trained with a guy, a Legends, and watch him roll and rolled with him before. He's caught me in a few triangles that like I didn't know how the hell he had caught me from the angle. I was like, this son of a. All right, this guy's really good. So we rolled quite a bit. We had phenomenal rolls.
I don't think
And
I
then
saw
again,
you when I went down there.
no, I wasn't there when you were at the gym.
I try to go train with basically anyone that I sponsor. I try to train with, or at least meet them once. Like Luca and Emma, I met them at trials. We took a picture together. Bash, I went to his gym. Marissa, I do train with her all the time now. would go down to Blackhole, train with her. Matt, I see him like 3 or 4 times a week now. That, I guess that doesn't really count. But if I have an athlete, I do try to at least go to their gym once. Aiden McKiernan from Performance Combat. I actually delivered their stuff, which was like 3 hours away, so I could meet a lot of their people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as you guys can see, he's got the hands-on approach, and that's something that you want when you have either a sponsor or just someone that you work with consistently. You definitely want that kind of commitment. And so, Andre, you have my respect, brother. There's nothing else for me to say about that, because that's fucking sick.
Yeah, every gym that I make stuff for, I do try to go visit it at least once. Like Wolfpack, I know those guys. I'm working on going to Mongoose MMA and should go there. Gambit, you see me there sometimes. That's only like 15 minutes from my shop. I have so many gyms that it's hard for me to like keep track of it, So like unless I have a list, there's so many that I just deal with. Louise, I make him stuff. Me and him used to spar years ago. I know Louise. I talk to him fairly regularly. Joe, like I said, I trained with him last week. Great guy. Josh DePace. Me and him live in the same town. I make him shirts. I'm cornering him at Cage Wars. I drove down to Long Island to go corner him. I've cornered him at Cage Wars before. Nash, my boy Nicholas, I make him stuff sometimes at Jacau and Clifton Park. I've trained with him a bunch of times, so I try to meet everyone.
Yeah, you put your best foot forward, and I respect that, man. Not a lot of people do. But how do you balance all these roles? Because you're coaching, you're competing, you're running the brand, you're holding events, you're at the store, you're, again, meeting all these different gyms and teams. What's your game? What do you do to, like, deal with all of this and manage all of this at the same time?
I cut it into sections. So basically, if I'm talking to athletes, I only give that like an hour every other day. I'm not going to do that every day because people want to have conversations, which is fine. I like having conversations. But if I was just talking to people that want basically free stuff from me, I wouldn't make any money. Then there's gyms. I try to email, call, and Instagram message 30 different gyms a day just to try to add them to my takeover store. I try to hit 5 to 10 people that want to make their own brand to add to. A lot of it is by adding things to the store and adding new people to that, it helps me grow as well as them. Because if I have this huge platform where I'm drop shipping for everybody, now I don't have to do my own marketing anymore because everyone will do their own marketing. So instead of me buying these ads for $1,000 a month, now I can cut it down to 300 or 400 because there's also people that are running ads for 100 or 200, So by growing the store, basically it's helping me grow as a company, and I'm trying to basically get out of, I don't want to be like the face of it anymore. Like I have to be the front runner. I have to do all the content, everything like that. I'm trying to kind of come away from that because it's a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a lot of stress all at once. I think you're trying to pull like what 50 Cent said. He wanted Tony Yayo to be successful so he could kind of sit in the back and like maneuver accordingly. I kind of felt like that's the lot.
I'll manage people and like I'll manage these different brands, and I come up with ideas and help them and everything. But I kind of want them to I want to train them to be good at marketing their own business so that they can make more sales. And then obviously I do, like when I drop ship for people, I do profit. It's not, I'm not hiding anything. Obviously I profit. I'm making the item. But if you went and got it made from someone else, it's probably going to be more expensive, or even if it's the same, but I'm also teaching you to grow your business. So there's some that come to me and they eventually leave, whatever. And then 9 times out of 10, within like 6 to 8 months, they come back because I don't have a minimum order. Like Kitchell, he just texted me yesterday. He's like, "Can you make me some shorts?" Like, yep. So I made these, and then he texts me today. He's like, "Can you make another pair in white?" Yes. When you go to like all these online ones, they're like, oh, they come from Pakistan or something. You have to get like 300 items. I don't do that. I have a website. So like if someone does one order on the website for your item, I do that one item. You don't have to buy a bunch of them, which it just saves people money. And you also don't have to pay anything up front. Someone buys something, I just send you the money. That's it. You didn't have to like spit out $800 for your store. Or if you have a gym or something, you can't bundle packages together, which is how most of these people make their money now, because they're basically getting like one bulk order at a time and they never have all items available. But now with the bundle, I make every item available because I'm going to make every single item as it comes in.
Somebody's mad. I get it. Listen, sometimes you have those days. It's Saturday. Sometimes that's the vibe. I ain't mad at it. What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone looking to build a business, not just within the gyms, but like the individual, when you want to build your own brand and then turn that into a business? Like you said, you might have a brand, but you don't have a business necessarily just because of it. What advice would you give to a young athlete or someone who's just kind of starting into this combat sport journey and they're like, you know what, I want to have my own shit with my own name on it?
Don't get ripped off with overseas people. They're going to come to you. They're going to message you. I get like 30 different messages a day. Oh, we make rash guards for $14, $12, $10. That's great. You don't know the material. You don't know the taxes. You don't really have any guide to help you sell stuff. Like, say you have to buy 100 rash guards. Okay, you bought 100 rash guards. You spent a ton of money. How are you going to sell that? Oh, they came in. You don't know anything about sizing charts. They came in wrong. It's fine. The material's terrible. The color's wrong. There's so many things with that. I actually, because when I started with overseas people, but I lost a bunch, like $2,000 on an order. So I'm like, all right, instead of doing this, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and just get my own machines and just do it myself. If you're gonna do it, try to have a manufacturer that you can talk to. Like, if you need to show up to wherever they are, go there. And that's the same thing with like t-shirts. Like, people go to like rush order tees. First of all, they're expensive. And then second of all, you have a customer service line, you're probably not going to talk to them. So try to go to like a small town thing, work out a deal, and just work on your Instagram, because honestly, that's how I base if I sponsor people or not, and how far your sponsorship goes is based off how much you engage, how much you post, and then how much you engage with me online too. So like, if you're commenting or you're liking stuff or you're tagging me, you're going to get my attention. You can do that for basically any company, because I guarantee there's someone behind that account that's just watching for new people.
Okay, so that's definitely put them on the radar on both ends for their own branding and then also future collabs and things that they want to do there. You just spoke about social media, but how do you leverage Instagram or YouTube? Because I know you talked about ads, but what's the strongest point for leveraging with social media? Is it like personal brand building, or is it just like the way
My
that you're able to?
social media has changed to brand building because I'm pushing that so hard. I was pushing having new athletes. That's fine. A lot of them come to me anyway. I don't really need to push out anymore. Like, I'm sure after this podcast, there's probably going to be 5 to 10 people that are going to ask me to go on the takeover store with their merch, which is awesome. And that's what I want. So if you want to do that, please feel free to message me and we'll get something going. It's free for athletes. I put your logo up. We make you shirts. You get discounts on everything and you get your own promo code. So if your people go and buy stuff from another person, you also get a cut of that. But, yeah, what was the question actually? Kind of went off.
The question was, if I'm, let's say that you're looking at a young athlete who's just starting this journey into combat sports, whether it's MMA, BJJ, or what have you. If he's looking at social media as that link, as that missing link or platform, what is it that you think the role of social media should be for him? Is he using it for brand building?
He should try
for those things
to build a following. That's number one. Build a following by doing collaborative posts with people. I have about I think I have 5,000 followers. If you take pictures of yourself in my gear, I automatically will accept a collaborative post. I get those once in a while, and I tell people, I'm like, look, you want to build your following, like, I'm sharing to a bunch of people, I'm running ads. If you do a collab post with me, a lot of times I'll even boost it too, so you get even more eyes on it. And I have a whole network of different businesses that follow me, and they also sponsor other people that I sponsor. So just try to find a company that's willing to do a collaborative post with you, but try to make it regular. Like, they might not do it every week or so, but I mean, I'll do it once a week. I post pretty much every single day. Sometimes I even post twice a day. So definitely use someone else's following to increase your own. That's the biggest thing. Like, if you look at a lot of the posts I have, there's collabs with Matt, Marissa, me, Luca, Emma, Aaliyah. I do them with different companies. I have collabs with Al. I've done it with different promotions, athletes, brands. I've PAW. I did collabs with them, and it helps everyone because your people are going to look at mine and mine are going to look at yours.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. It's almost like super networking with just making these collaborative posts, and then it kind of extends the reach that you both have.
If you have 5,000, I have 5,000. Now we have 10,000 eyes on our stuff.
That's a different move altogether. That's something that we all want. Let me get to the last question for you because I am also curious. What is it that's made you build these platforms and opportunities? You do the events, you do the matchmaking as well. What's driving you to give back to the combat sports community like this? Is it just the business end of it, or because that could be the truth, or is it just something you really?
I feel that everything you give away comes back to you tenfold. So, say I give someone a rash guard. Someone sees that rash guard, and they'll come buy, 10 of them from me. And that's usually how it works. I'll sponsor an athlete. I'll give them, money or whatever. And then a lot of times coaches will go to oh, where'd you get that? That's awesome. Oh, I got it from this guy. Oh, let us get our gear from there. It happens so frequently that I don't give away too much stuff because I try to keep it, it would be very expensive and time consuming to do it for everybody. But I do what I can, if I can do something, I will.
All right, brother, man. So let the people know where they can see you, where they can contact you. We're going to put the links in the description as well. Also, a huge shout out to you, man, for giving me your time. We got an hour and
thanks
change.
For having me. This was fun. I like doing podcasts.
Yeah, man,
so
I'd love to have you on in the future again because you are a sick dude, and maybe hopefully we can do it an in-person pod in the future. I'm still working out the details on a studio space.
I'm always like doing stuff too. So like this month, it seems like I'm doing like brand stuff. Next month, who knows? Like I'm trying to do a lot of tables this month. I have Cage Wars February 7th. It's gonna be an awesome show. Jorge Masvidal's there. Roger Stone, Constantino's there. That's gonna be a great show in Glens Falls, and it's free. So that's amazing. I'm always trying to do other events. I'm trying to get on Men of War to try to table with them. Eugene, hit me up. I shouted you out. Where's my table? HCS, I'm trying to join with them a little bit. Tap tournament, I might table for them in the future. Sogi, I think I might do one of theirs. So I'm at a lot of events. So that's for sure. So if you see me at an event, come talk to me, come take a picture, and then when you take that picture, be like, hey, can we do a collab on that picture? That grows your following. I also wanted to show you guys some of the stuff we've been working on. Like I didn't just start doing singlets, but I'm really focusing on wrestling this year because I've had so many different wrestlers, so many off-season clubs come to me and they want singlets. So I don't really boast too much about that, but we make a lot of wrestling gear for like Clever Combat, Team Storm, Catchem Wrestling. We made a ton of stuff for that. We also do baseball jerseys. I just made a bunch of these for Blackhole not too long ago. We've done some like off-season teams. We do a lot of the off-season teams because schools are a little bit more difficult to get into and everyone seems like they know someone that does stuff. The hats, like you saw, I have like 3 different brands now that are selling hats, and I think only one of them's actually connected to my store. But there's so many different kinds you can do with this. Like I'm doing puff embroidery now too. Then I also have, this is actually my personal hoodie, so it's probably beat up, but I do full-fledged embroidery. If you want to start like a casual clothing line and you want to put it on the takeover store, I'm definitely available for that. So please reach out to me. You can call my store any day, 845-293-7023. You can also message me on Instagram at Thumpers, plural, _thing. So at Thumpers _thing. You can find me on my Instagram. I'm not necessarily on there all the time because, I have like 7 accounts right now. It's at Andre, which is ANDRE _ Tavish, TAVISH. Find me on takeoverstore.square.site, designcoshop.com. I have also a bunch of websites, obviously, and I manage a bunch of them. You can email me, designcoshopny@gmail.com. You know, I own Thumper Things. I do MAK. I do business with Cage Wars, Takeover, Team Takeover. I run that. Design Co, my shop. You know, I'm all over the place. So please feel free to shoot me a message and let's try to build our brands together.
My man is the main brand builder right now, and we like to see that.
Yeah.
We love with that vibe. Work with that vibe. Andre, my man, thank you so much for coming onto the program.
Thanks for having me.
We will be talking in the future. We definitely I'm gonna have to see you at a few events down the line as well.
Yeah, if you or anyone you know has any events, and you know, I drop money at them. I put up cash prizes for people. Anything, as long as I can get a table, or you know, I even help with the marketing of some of the events. You know, I have a decently large platform now, so I'm always looking to help anything. I'm always looking to get into anything or help anything. I'm going to BKFC today. I make their fan page merch. So,
oh shit!
Yeah.
My man is a jack of all trades. We might just have to call it the Andre of all trades, just so
the
that
Andre of all trades. I like that.
That's what we're going to call it moving forward. Actually, be the name for the episode. This title might be the Andre of all trades,
like
because
that.
we got you, man, are amazing, brother. Again, for all of you watching, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your curiosity, as always. Your boy Danny Andre. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having
Go to
me.
the link in the description. We're going to have all of the ways that you can reach our guests. You can also see all of his websites. If you love the merch that you saw, you can check out even more cool merch on his websites, and we'll make sure that we pass that along. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your curiosity.
Join my team. Join Team Takeover today.
Do it. Hashtag Team Takeover. We're going to do it forever for the rest of the season. Season 2. You guys might just have to continue to watch and see what we do next. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you.